Hi folks, Andy back again. After a really long video for the last one where we set up a drawing sheet and we did our overall kind of first look view of your drawing package, let's get into making up the rest of the sketches or drawings in your drawing package. So let's get started. Here we are back to where we left off. Two things I forgot to get you to do. One is, of course, save. And the other is, you'll notice I made all those changes to the sheet format, and here I'm going to save the sheet format and give it a new name. I'm going to call this B. There, we'll just give it a name that means that I won't have to recreate that again, and from now on, whenever I want to use a B-size sheet, this one will come up. I could even set this as a default. But let's just do a rebuild there. There we go. So we have our table, and we have some leaders that maybe would look better over there. There. We've got some leaders indicating what parts are what. We still need to fill in the rest of this table, but you get the idea. At this point, we've got the one sheet. We don't need to start an entirely new drawing file. What we can do is just go to this sheet, and if you click Add Sheet here, we get a new sheet. Now, we can pick the sheet format again. We should be able to, now that we've saved the sheet format, we should be able to find there, B Andy Standard, apply changes, and there we've got my sheet format from before. Rebuild. So the next thing we'd like to do would be an exploded view. Now, we haven't done exploded views yet in SolidWorks, so let's go back to our assembly first, because before we can put an exploded view here in the drawing, we need to actually create an exploded view. So I'm back here in the birdhouse assembly, and this assembly has some screws, and it's got a base, and it's got a roof, etc. And you'll notice that a couple of things, that your toolbar just in the main assembly window has this thing called Exploded View. And if you click that, it opens up a window which gives you these interesting and relatively straightforward toolbar to do an explosion. So you can do it in steps. In the case of what I'm doing, I want to make a radial explode. I'm going to pick the parts that are going to be exploded. I want that screw. I want that screw, and that screw. So it's picked those four. It's got a distance it will explode, which I think 10 millimeters is probably too small, but I'm not so sure. I'm actually going to make 70 millimeters. And it shows me that it's exploded. I did a radial, so it exploded from some center point out in this direction. And so that looks kind of cool. It's not exactly right because, well, with the four of them, I probably should have exploded them directly out the axis, but that's all right. So that's our explode step 1. Now we can do explode step 2, which seems to be, well, we'll add a step. Oh, we must select a component. I don't want to make a radial explode anymore. I selected the base component, and I'm going to roll that down and down. There, that'll do. And then So now I've got up in the top these explode steps. Explode step 1, where I did a radial explode of the screws, so I blew the screws out. I did explode step 2, where the bottom dropped down. The last thing I'll do is select the roof, and I'll add the step. But I don't want to go in that direction. I want to go up. Don't know why it moved me over there. I'll go back, and I'll go back. Let's try that again. There. So I've got explode step 1, chain 2. And there's my explosion. Now, you might say, all right, so if I click exploded view again, everything disappears. What? Oh, that's so annoying. And then you have to start again. No, actually you don't. At the very beginning of making this assembly, SolidWorks had created a configuration for you, and you didn't really notice, neither did I. It's kind of a bizarre thing, but if you right click at that, you'll find that that there's a bunch of stuff that is hidden. One is there's now an explode. Ooh, that's the thing we just created. That's interesting. We can go collapse. It's kind of cool. We can also go, where did that go? Oh, wrong place. Right click, we can go animate explode. Ooh, isn't that cool? And what this has done is it's created a configuration for an exploded view that is built into the kind of the base state for the CAD model. And it makes an animation and all that's kind of fun. You can select different display states. And in fact, what you'll find is that if you look in the configuration manager, which we haven't looked at before, that's this little toolbar. So we've got the feature manager, which is basically what we've been using up to this point. There's the property manager, and there's the configuration manager. The configuration manager has an exploded view. Oh, we had one that I had used before. We'll just delete that one. We've got this exploded view, and you can see there's the steps that we had before. We can double click on that to edit it. We can go back to the non-exploded view. But we've got that different configuration. So now you'll see that when we try to use this model in the drafting tool, the drafting environment, that it will give us the opportunity, just like it did with parts with folded and unfolded, it will give us the opportunity to use the exploded view or the default view. So we're just going to save that. Oh, one other thing. Sorry, I should have mentioned this. So with exploded view, I guess we can edit that. Yeah, there we go. We can also insert smart lines. And the lines are the directions of the explode. Those are very helpful. There. So you'll see those show up as another feature within the exploded view. So we've done the exploded view, we've got the lines in, and we've saved it. We can now create a new model view, and we can browse. It's set up to look for parts, we want to look for an assembly. There, Ugly Bird House assembly, open. And then you'll see with the display state, we should be able to select different configuration. And we can select up here reference configuration and exploded view. And so we've picked exploded view. The same as before, we can change the scale. Move that around until we're happy with it. And you can put whatever annotation, whatever labels that you like in that exploded view. Now you can play around with the view plane, either in the actual model, because this is reflecting the model that we created, or you can do it in a dynamic way in the view plane. There, so now we've made the first two sheets of our drawing package. We've made the overall description, we've made a bill of materials or a list of the parts, and now we have a very simple exploded view so the reader can see how the parts are assembled. You can play around with the view and try and get it to look right, but that's the basics of how you'll create that. Up next, we'll start making the detailed drawings. See you soon.